Hey, Jen. Have you ever given any thought as to what your persona would be?
Yeah, I think my persona would either be probably a fox, those are the cutest,
Okay.
or it would be, let me think, a tiger.
All right. I like that. I like that.
I don't want to be too generic. I want to be like not like the other furries. I want to be one that's like a little bit different. Or I'd be like one of those like really cool dragon ones that like are
Oh,
mechanical.
okay. You know what? I was talking with one of my friends about this, and they're like, I kind of think you would be a scaly. And I'm like, okay.
You know what? Yes. Yeah. You kind of do give scaly.
Oh, what does that mean?
you just cuz you got like your snake.
Is that the only reason?
Yeah. No, like I don't know. To me, I feel like you would either be a scaly or you would be like a bird. No, I don't know if you'd be a bird.
I want to be the bird from Rio.
Yeah, or you'd be like the hot bird from like Balto 3.
Oh, the goose?
Yeah, the goose that has like the boobs and stuff.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. For sure. For sure. Well, today's case, we're going to be talking about some people who are involved in the furry community. And this is no reflection against the furry community. I just want to get that out there right before we start talking. But the tranquility of this quiet town was about to be brutally shattered on a Saturday morning in September of 2016. A 6-year-old girl placed a 911 call. This would cripple the community of this quiet town. So this call was from her home on the 400 block of Gilbert Street. Her words were simple, but terrifying. On the receiver, the operator heard, "My dad's in the backyard, dead. And my mom, she's dead in bed." Responding to the call, the police entered a scene of carnage. There were 3 bodies inside. And this is the case of the Fullerton triple murder. Hi, and welcome to the Decomposing Flower podcast. We're excited to have you here with us as we delve into some truly intriguing, and today's case is a true crime case. I'm your host, Kira, and with me is Jen. Everything we say in our podcast is information that we've gathered from testimonies, interviews, documents, and trustful sources. Any opinion we say is our own. If we get any information wrong, please feel free to let us know in the comments. We mean no disrespect to the victims or anyone affected by this case. Before we get started, I just want to give a few content warnings. Like I mentioned in the very beginning of this episode, we're going to be discussing some people who are involved in the furry community. This is no reflection against the community. There's some wonderful people in that community. These were just people who were involved. The media tends to run with the narrative that these were crazy furries and things like that. It's the same thing in the same line as people who play video games are violent. This is not saying that is that way. I'm just saying they were just involved. And then we're going to be discussing a brutal murder. So if you're not okay with that, or if it's upsetting to you, please feel free to check out one of our other episodes. Take care of yourself. Make sure you relax. And we'll see you in the next episode. As soon as the police entered the home, they found the bodies of 39-year-old Jennifer Yost, her 34-year-old husband, Christopher Yost, and their 28-year-old friend, Arthur, aka Billy Bocher. Bocher? One of the two. And inside, crying and full of trauma, they found the 2 young daughters who were still alive. Their ages were 9 and 6. Although they were spared the physical violence, they had witnessed the brutality of the scene and everything unfolded while they slept. But there was one person who was still missing. It was a 17-year-old daughter, Caitlin Yost. The victims weren't just the headlines. They were individuals with lives, families, and communities. Christopher, aka Bubba Yost, was described as a kind and friendly man who worked as a mechanic, and he was a designer of trophies. He was a devoted husband, a loving father. His cousin stated that he never hated his soul, and he would do anything for anyone. Jennifer Yost was a stay-at-home mom with a creative talent for making jewelry and making stuffed animals. She was known for her warmth and generosity. She was considered a mother to many, not just her own kids within her family circle. The third victim, Arthur, or Billy, was a family friend. He worked as a hotel custodian, and he was staying at the home in order to get his finances in order. He was a high school friend of the Yosts and a father to his 5-year-old son. Like I said, the victims and the alleged perpetrators is also intertwined with the furry community, and this can be anywhere from wearing fursuits to just designing animal characters wherever you're at. But friends from the community describe Jennifer Yost as a central motherly figure who helped others with their problems, while their daughter Caitlin was an active part of the community. She was a high school senior and she was a member of the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps. Through this shared community, Caitlin met Joshua Akuska and Frank Felix. Christopher and Jennifer were really concerned about her relationship with Felix. According to a family friend and a fellow furry, Jennifer had become distraught a couple weeks before her whole family was murdered. And this was because she was forbidden from seeing Felix. Another neighbor reported hearing about the conflict and stating that the parents weren't allowing her to date this boy. Joshua Akuska was a 21-year-old Army private, and the reason why her family would really let her date Frank Felix was because he was 25 years old. Akuska was relatively new to the furry community, but Felix was deeply involved and romantically involved with Caitlin. I'll get into a little bit here. That night of the murders, there was a meticulously and perfectly executed plan that happened. They arrived at the Fullerton household, and after they witnessed the family and their friend go to sleep, Caitlin went outside and got into a truck with Felix, while Akuska entered the home with a shotgun. Akuska first shot Butcher in the head as he slept on the living room couch. He then went to the master bedroom where he shot Jennifer Yost in the face while she was in bed. The final victim, Christopher, he awoke to the sound of gunfire, and the last thing he saw was his wife, and he attempted to flee through the back door when he was shot in the head. The perpetrators immediately fled the scene, leaving the two young girls alone in the house with her parents. They all drove to Felix's home in Sun Valley, where they took deliberate steps to destroy evidence, including burning their clothes and attempting to destroy their cell phones. Despite the efforts to cover their tracks, the Fullerton detectives acted swiftly and arrested Felix at his home. Akuska returned to the barracks and they arrested him as well. Caitlin was detained but not charged, and this is because she thought she could use immunity and secure that through her testimony. I just want to get into the motives a little bit because they are truly messed up. So Akuska confessed to being the gunman right away during an interrogation, which was ultimately played for the jurors. He claimed to act on his own to emancipate Caitlin from what he perceived as an abusive family situation. His words were cold and calculated. He described the Yost family as twisted, wretched, and a cesspool. It was a festering wound that he cauterized. Billy was no intended target, but he was shot and killed because there was something in the way. He was collateral, and he could have thrown a monkey wrench into the plan. The defense for him was going up against a lot. They argued that his actions were influenced due to his autism as he was on the spectrum, and they claimed that this made him naive, emotionally immature, and prone to black and white thinking. And they played off this narrative that Akuska was duped by his friends to commit the killing. Caitlin, who gave testimony so that she could gain immunity, she claimed that her stepfather, Christopher, had SA'd her from the ages of 7 to 15 and that her mother physically abused her. She stated on the night of the murders, she asked Akuska and Felix to help her run away. However, the prosecutor noted that Caitlin lied to the police and that her claims were difficult to verify. The legal strategy was to grant her immunity due to her testimony, but we'll get into it in a little bit here. The legal process for the two defendants unfolded over several years, with their respected convictions occurring at 2018 for Joshua Kuska, who was found guilty under 3 counts, and he had an additional sentencing for multiple murders and the use of a firearm which caused death. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 75 years. So he hopefully shouldn't be able to see the sun again. However, Frank Felix came much later. On November 8th of 2014, which is last year, according to the time that we're recording this, he was found guilty of 3 charges of first-degree murders, 3 felony enhancements of multiple murders. This delay in his legal proceedings was due to the fact that he was just more difficult to implicate. But he now faces a maximum life sentence without the possibility of parole, which left behind the young daughters of Christopher and Jennifer, who have to walk in this world without their parents anymore. They had a candlelight vigil held outside the Yost home. Friends and family rallied to provide support. A GoFundMe campaign was created to help with the funeral expenses and help provide for the girls. The widespread shock and grief about the communities that the perpetrators were a part of within the furry community was evident, as friends of the victim and suspects grappled with the violent outcome that had brewed within their social circle. Akuska and Felix met Caitlin through a group of furries who liked to dress up as characters in costumes. Akuska was a brony who is closely affiliated with also kind of being in the same line of being a furry. Caitlin and her mother Jennifer were both in the furries group. Felix said he went to a nearby hardware store to get bolt cutters to remove a safety lock on the gun. He also bought earplugs for Akuska to protect his hearing from the shotgun blast. Felix sent Facebook messages to Caitlin after the killings declaring his love. They could start a family and make Caitlin's sisters their children. They tried to make the killings look like a robbery gone bad. Felix claimed that he fears Akuska, but however, it's shown that they keep in touch and they send letters to each other. One shows a drawing of a sexually androgynous anthropomorphic horse with human breasts as a gift to Akuska. The family of Felix says that he was a kind and gentle soul, but he was easily influenced, and that he was not the evil mastermind that the press makes it out to be. He's very remorseful for the killings, but that doesn't stop the fact that they murdered someone, you know? So the Fullerton triple murder is really disgusting show of how far a parental dispute and a teenage relationship can all be involved with one another and leading to a tragic outcome. It's a reminder that things can escalate really, really quickly. The convictions of Joshua Kuska and Frank Felix provide some justice, but it can't restore the lives lost or heal the deep trauma inflicted on the 2 young girls who survived. I just hope that the parents' legacy and their friend continues to live on and that eventually their community can find some healing. And that's where we're at with today's case. Thank you so much for listening. We really hope we explained this case with as much factual information as we could. Again, we meant no harm, and if we said anything wrong, please let us know. We'll see you in the next episode.